What? Yeah! Y'all ready to play some football? Just tap me deep. Let's go! If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. Let me know. I'm about to...
What's going on, people? What's going on, people? You know what time it is. LP 2000 right back at you with another figure review. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a double figure review. This is at request of fellow collector on the Kaiju Brotherhood and the Godzilla Collectors Facebook group, Edwin Talavera. He wanted me to do a review on the X Plus 30cm Godzilla 2004 from Godzilla Final Wars. And I thought, since there are a couple other figures out, a couple reviews out there on this figure, as well as reviews on the Final Wars Gigan, I decided to mash them up together and just do one double figure review. So that's what I'm doing today. The X Plus 30cm Godzilla Final Wars, as well as the X Plus 30cm Gigan from Final Wars. So let's get into the boxes. Now, this is the box for the Godzilla. This is actually the Wonderfest Godzilla that was sold at Winter Wonderfest in Japan back in February. They made a select few number of these. They had like a limited run of like 150 pieces. I believe 80 sold at the show and 70 sold online through the X Plus Ric Boy site. And this is basically the box. It doesn't have the normal fantastic artwork like other 30cm boxes have. Just basically the name of the Godzilla 2004 Ric Boy version. It has a light up feature, as well as I believe this is like Wonderfest 2015. So that's pretty much it with the box for Godzilla with the legal jargon on the back. And for its Gigan, it's kind of similar box, but it has a picture of the figure. Excuse me, has a silhouette of the figure on the front, kind of like the Gigantic series, where it's not colored, but just a silhouette of the figure, as well as the title of his name, Gigan 2004 from Final Wars. And this was actually a Ric Boy, but I gave away my Ric Boy pieces, so it's basically just a standard. So that's pretty much it as far as the boxes. Now let's get into the figures. These are beautiful, beautiful figures, and I will go. Let me just say this first. I know if you're not new to my channel, a lot of people know that Godzilla Final Wars is not exactly my favorite Godzilla film of all time, but also at the same time. And I've said this before in my Space Godzilla review, that even though, once again, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla is not exactly my favorite film in the franchise either, but yet my particular view, or your particular view of the film, whether it's good or bad, should not stop you from collecting any pieces of collectibles pertaining to that movie. Even though Godzilla Final Wars is not up there on my top 10 list, I still love these figures and really enjoy them for what they are. And like I said, don't let your disdain for a film stop you from collecting some beautiful, wonderful pieces of Godzilla's history. And these are great, wonderful pieces of Godzilla's history. Let's start off with Godzilla. Like I said, this is the Wonderfest, where it has the light up features. Unfortunately, my light up features don't work. But I still like the detail on the dorsal plates, even though it's translucent vinyl, excuse me. Because of the light supposed to emit from the fins, but I like this look better as far as the translucent material of the fins. It gives it more of a lifelike appearance, whereas they would be normally painted if it wasn't a lot of feature involved here. Typical Godzilla color on his skin, charcoal black, kind of like a light beige on his toes, as well as his fingernails. He has a purple tongue, which is kind of different. But then again, the Gigantic GMK has that type of purple tone on his tongue. And the Gigantic Burning Godzilla has it just a little bit, but maybe it's like a light purple. But this is like a real dark purple, which is kind of different. I don't recall Godzilla having a purple tongue in the film, but it's still accurate. He has somewhat of orange eyes. You can't really see because the darkness of the brow. Excuse me, the brow is covering up his eyes somewhat, so you can't really see how light his eyes are. But his eyes are orange. The teeth are sculpted well. The dorsal plates are sculpted well. His tail, the curvature of his tail, how it's going outwards and almost in a way kind of come back towards the body. Really, really awesome. I like the pose. I really do enjoy the pose. Basically how Godzilla was in the film, where he was basically in an MMA style fighting pose, because he spent most of the film fighting to begin with. But the pose is dynamic. It's awesome. It's great. And I really do like this pose on Godzilla. It really does make the figure stand up more than what it is. But also, when it comes to shelf, he can't be a shelf hog because of his tail. But even still, just a wonderful representation of Godzilla Final Wars. And this goes to his antagonist, or at least one of his antagonists of the film, but yet probably the monster that had more of a prominent role in the story. Now, of course, in the film, Godzilla faced a whole bunch of monsters, especially from the Showa period. Anguirus, King Caesar, Rodan, Kumonga, Kamacuras, Hedra, King Ghidorah, or at least a version of him. But Gigan really had a more prominent role in the story. And this is a very cool representation of Gigan. Of course, I know a lot of people, or at least a lot of the Showa fans out there, may prefer the Showa Gigan, which I am a part of that category. But still, I'm not selling this Gigan short. It's kind of really a cool upgrade from what it was back in the 70s. Everything about him is basically exaggerated just a little bit, from the sharpness of his fins back here, as well as his fins back here that allow him to fly. Everything's basically exaggerated, but exaggerated to a great degree, but it's still awesome. Now, mind you, this is a figure that may not want to have small children dealing with this figure, because of the sharpness of everything when it comes to Gigan, from his fins to his head to his claws here. Everything on this figure is sharp. So it's not something you want to just grab, you know what I'm saying? So try to keep out of reach of children. This is a cool representation of Gigan. Now the skin texture, I would have to say, since we only saw a Gigan maybe one time in daytime, so I would, and most of the time we saw him, it was at night. So we have more like a darkish bluish skin tone, and I believe it's accurate. I haven't seen Godzilla Final Wars in a while. Like I said, we only saw Gigan maybe one time during the day, maybe, but mostly it was at night. But the skin, everything is spot on with this figure. Mind you, when I first got him, his leg was kind of deformed. He is made of hard vinyl, but the vinyl is a little bit maybe kind of less sturdy than regular hard vinyl, because his leg right here can be truly deformed. Like if it's in an environment where it gets heated up, and it can get deformed. So just be mindful of that if you're able to get your hands on these. As far as the availability, the Wonderfest, I know is still online for maybe $350, $400 shipped. Gigan's out there also, he's a little bit cheaper. Like I said, a lot of people prefer the Showa, so some people are kind of sleeping on this figure. But Diamond Distributors once again has struck a deal with X Plus. We haven't heard much more about this, but they announced this back in a couple months ago. And Gigan is going to be has already been announced to be one of the figures that they're going to be reissuing. They're going to be reissuing 24 figures, 12 of Godzilla himself, and the rest of his adversaries or his foes or his allies. And Gigan is going to be on that list. What we know so far. Now they have not announced any of the Godzillas yet. But I like to believe that if Gigan Final Wars is on that list that we know of now, then a reissue of Godzilla 2004 from Final Wars has to be on that list too. That way they can go perfectly with each other. And that's how I like to display my figures. I like to display my figures where they have dancing partners. And and sometimes some figures you may have to bend the rules a little bit, especially if you OCD. You may have to bend, you may have to put a different year of the same monster with the figure of the same film somewhat, just to try to get the overall effect. Like Godzilla's King Ghidorah 1991. The recently released Yuji Sakai. I put this with my my King Ghidorah 1968, 25 centimeter. Mind you, it's not the same King Ghidorah he fought in the 91 film, but the effect is still there. And that's what I'm trying to get to. But as far as these figures right here, they go absolutely perfect with each other. Size-wise, Gigan was taller and somewhat bigger than Godzilla in the film, so these are basically perfect with each other. Perfect in scale. I had no complaints with these figures. Like I said, even though Godzilla Final Wars is not exactly my favorite film in the franchise, but I still wanted to get these figures. They're awesome. S-Plus has done a wonderful job of recreating these figures exactly like how the suits were in the film. So I highly recommend if you can get Gigan or get Godzilla. If you get Godzilla, get Gigan. If you get Gigan, get Godzilla. They look so perfectly with each other, and they look great with each other. And basically, Gigan is the only foe out of film that they have released for us S+. So that's why I say they are perfect for each other. Like the Gargantua brothers, or like Godzilla 1968, and then Anguirus 1968. Some figures just look so perfect together, and these two are no exception. So I highly recommend if you get one, try and get the other one. You will not be disappointed with the purchase. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about Godzilla Final Wars just a little bit, but I don't want to seem like I'm bashing the film. As a matter of fact, I want to talk about at least a couple things that I like about the film. First and foremost, I do like the fact, since I'm a Showa guy, that they brought back a whole bunch of the Showa monsters back for the film. Even though their appearances weren't exactly the best in the world, or if they were limited. But I like seeing all these monsters come back, like Anguirus, Hedra. Yes, Hedra is in the film, just don't blink twice. Gigan, Rodan, King Caesar, Ebera, and King Ghidorah, at least a version of him, is Kaiju Ghidorah in the film. But still, King Ghidorah does come back in some way, shape, or form. Even Minion comes back, but it's nice to see all those kaijus come back in a more upgraded fashion, or downgraded, depending on your point of view. But I like seeing that. I also like the whole concept of the story, how Godzilla is presented as the ultimate, most powerful monster ever. And I know when it comes to Godzilla films, you know, we talk about the GMK, or the Godzilla 1964, or the Godzilla 1991 as probably being the most powerful forms of Godzilla out there. But considering how Godzilla just basically ran through every monster opposition in this film, Godzilla 2004 does maybe deserve to be in that conversation just a little bit. Even though he did go through those monsters with ease, especially Hedra. Like I said, if you blink twice, you wouldn't think Hedra was in the film in the first place. But they really presented Godzilla as a very, very powerful adversary. And the fact that when the aliens come in and they use monsters to destroy the world, the fact that they have to turn to Godzilla as basically as a weapon of war to deal with these monsters, the perfect weapon of war, I really do like that. I really do like how they use Godzilla as a weapon of war to deal with the monsters. And I also like the fact that, you know, that since this was basically the last Godzilla film, or at least at the time, because we got a new one coming out, like I said, I like having all these monsters back, especially the Showa ones. Because basically in continuity, Toho, is basically when it comes to the Millennium series and Heisei series, they basically try to ignore all the events that happened after the first film. So basically everything that happened between Godzilla Rise Again and Mechagodzilla, they don't like to count that when it comes to film continuity. But I like how they brought these monsters back, and in a way kind of do show that these films did exist, even though they don't like to talk about it in continuity when it comes to like rebooting the series or whatever. So I really do like that that they did bring all these monsters back from the Showa, because I'm a Showa guy. And even though Godzilla went through them with ease, and there were some monsters that deserve a little bit more love, like Hedra, like King Caesar, whatever. I mean, it's still a fun movie to watch. And I also like the fact there's one particular scene where Godzilla has to face King Caesar, Anguirus, and Rodan. Three monsters that fought with him in other epic monster battles, like Monster Zero, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Now all three of them had to fight Godzilla alone. And Godzilla basically goes through them with ease and turns into a soccer match. Watch the film, or at least if you have watched the film, you know what I'm talking about. But that was a cool concept too, to see these once allies of Godzilla oppose him and just have them fight, even though the fight scene was kind of ludicrous and kind of ridiculous. But I really do like that. But I would have to say, for this being Godzilla's last film at the time, we didn't know they were going to bring more Godzilla films after that point. I would like to have seen Godzilla's last film, because this was the 50th anniversary of the original Godzilla film in '54. It came out in 2004, like I said. I would like to have seen a film that kind of harkened back to the original. How Godzilla is basically a representation of our misuse of atomic weapons, and how we have deeply impacted the environment in the worst way, and Godzilla is a manifestation of that theory. I would like to have seen like Godzilla's last film kind of harken back to that, or kind of like Godzilla '84, something like that, just to have a more monumental weight. But with Godzilla Final Wars, you don't get that same message of having a monumental weight as the original does. It's basically just like a giant WrestleMania of monster brawls, and which is cool, which is fine. But for Godzilla's last film, I wanted to have a little bit more weight than that. So, like I said, I don't want to bash Godzilla Final Wars, but that's just my personal opinions about the film. I'm sure there are people out there who will probably differ in my opinion. That's all well and good, but as far as I'm concerned, that's how I feel about it. Before these figures are absolutely awesome. If you can find them, like I said, both of these are on eBay. And like I said, this has been going to be reissued from Diamond. We don't know when at this point. And like I said, I like to believe that Godzilla 2004 is going to be reissued also when they announce the Godzilla figures of himself that's coming out. Because, you know, they really do look perfectly with each other. And I highly recommend you do get them. Just do what you have to do. Like I said, don't let your disdain for Final Wars or your opinions of Final Wars deprive you from getting these awesome figures. And these figures are exactly that. They're awesome, and they look great with each other, especially when you position them on the shelves the way you like it. So, but that's pretty much it on my review of Godzilla 2004 from Final Wars and Gigan 2004 from Final Wars. If you have any questions, holler at me in the comment section or holler at me on Facebook via Mark Calloway. We go from there. A couple plugs in. Check out all the Facebook groups I'm about to mention: the Kaiju Brotherhood, Toho Kaiju Union, the Godzilla Collectors Facebook group, as well as the X Plus Collectors Facebook group. And also check out KaijuAddicts.com about all things about the X Plus, past figures, what's coming out now, what may be coming out, anything that you want to know about this great line of wonderful and beautiful realistic figures. Go to KaijuAddicts.com and get all your information from there. Alright? But that's pretty much it. I thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on the next figure and movie review. Alright? Let's go!
Yeah! Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? What? Yeah! Y'all ready to play some football? Just make it. Check this. Let's go! If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. Let's go! If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up.
If you want some, come get some. Cause where I'm from, we so big. And everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it. And I want answers now. Who, what, where, and why. See, a lot of dudes like to act the fool now. Get on live, but that ain't my style. Now who he gon' get and what he gon' do? Run up on me if you want to. Hot damn pressing his homies. He's done up in front of his mama. I'm up the floor with him. And I kick in the door and let the fofo get him. I got food that'll go get him. That's for him and Pooh and them dudes that run with him.